My name is Anna Turner. I'm the Research and Collections Coordinator at the Norman Bird Sanctuary in Middletown, Rhode Island. I've been there for almost 2 years, and I've had the privilege of prepping for 2024, the Sanctuary's 75th anniversary, over the course of my time here, working on archival research, oral histories, digitization of all of the photographs and letters and other print materials in our collection, and then the really fun stuff, which is working with the rest of the NBS team to plan all of the anniversary celebrations, which we are now kicking off. We've had one so far, and we've got many more to come. So for those who don't know or haven't visited, the Sanctuary is a 75-year-old environmental nonprofit and education center. We've been a community hub on Aquidneck Island and around Rhode Island for over 7 decades now. And we were founded by Mabel Norman Cheerio, who was a visionary conservationist in her day and a prolific artist, and lived on the property throughout her life and chose, with much kind of an extraordinary amount of foresight, to hand that acreage, what was around 200 plus acres in 1949, over to the public. And it's been stewarded by community members around Aquidneck Island for the last 75 years and has grown and evolved. It's become a major educational center for, 2-year-olds through 22-year-olds. We have a curiosity lab. We have amazing 7 miles of trails and hundreds of acres of protected space for wildlife and for people to enjoy, and dozens of community events that are really beloved. And so the 75th anniversary marks an important sort of cause for celebration. It's a significant thing to have stewarded this place, and at such a high level. I mean, it really is a meticulously maintained property that has just hundreds of thousands of supporters behind it. So the 75th marks a really important milestone for us as a nonprofit. So 2024 really has something for everyone. We've chosen to maintain a lot of our iconic community events that people really know us for and that have been going on almost as long as the Sanctuary has been around. So things like the Harvest Fair will celebrate its 50th anniversary this year. Birds and Breakfast will celebrate its 41st anniversary. Beach Bash, which is another more recent event, but nonetheless very beloved, will also happen in a bigger, more fun way this year. But then we have some really signature 75th events and programs that will really span from January to December. We've started one of those series, our Sightlines Lecture Series, which is a celebration of art and science, 2 of the disciplines most beloved by Mabel Norman Cheerio and really supported and engaged in throughout her life. So we're paying homage to her and also centering 2 disciplines that I think are really critical to our programming at the Sanctuary. So that kicked off last Thursday night with our executive director, Katie Ryan, lecturing on the cultural significance of Paradise Valley and how NBS is informed by that cultural legacy. And we'll continue in February with Jennifer Bissonette from the RISD Nature Lab. So these will be every Thursday evening, January to May, and then September and October, all women in conservation, ornithology, arts and culture, indigenous healing, and cultural heritage. So yeah, that is one of our signature events. We'll also be hosting BioBlitz this year in early June with the Rhode Island Natural History Survey. And then we'll have an artist in residence in March and early April, Nina Elder, who's coming to us from New Mexico and really, in a really fascinating way, blends sort of conservation research and climate change activism with really embodied multidisciplinary art making. So she'll be on campus working with our staff, working with our community to make work that deals with geological processes down at our third beach property and around Hanging Rock, and thinking about sort of coastal erosion and resiliency in the face of climate change. And then we'll have a plein air day, which continues that theme of arts and culture on campus and connecting with the broader Rhode Island arts community, which is so vibrant here and a really big part of our history, both through Mabel's legacy and through just decades of very cool artists working at NBS and with us. So there's all sorts of entry points for learning more about our history through programming this year. I'm really excited for the plein air day. To my knowledge, I don't know if we've done a formal one before. If we have, it was years ago, and I know even in the short time I've been at NBS, but in a lot of my research, I know we have amazing artists who are connected to the sanctuary for one reason or another. So to get to host them all on campus and allow them to enjoy what is really such a breathtaking sort of open studio space will really be a treat. And that's a free event. There will be complimentary food. We've got a really generous sponsor in Kitchen Companion Catering. So it'll be a really, I think, community-oriented, creative, fun day. And we just have to, fingers crossed, for good weather, 'cause you never know. I think the gardens on campus are amazing. We have 7 officially, I believe, 3 in particular that are really, I think, fun as a hiker to interact with. And one of those is Mabel's Garden, which is particularly steeped in NBS history, and the Newport Historical Society has some amazing photographs of Mabel actually working in that garden. She loved the color purple, and so a lot of the kind of herbs and other flowers in there are purple, and it's been beautifully maintained and actually kind of revived through volunteers over the past few years. So that's a beautiful spot, and most hikers don't know that it's open to the public and that you can incorporate that into your next hike. And then the Good Gardens and the Food Forest are also really beautiful, active projects ongoing that are a testament to, I think, what has always been a through line at NBS, which is just really concerted volunteer efforts that make for beautiful spaces on campus. I mean, I think the gift of open space on an island that's as kind of spatially constrained as Aquidneck Island is really remarkable. And it's also, we're kind of tucked away, and so you might stumble upon us. I hear it every day. My desk is right next to the front door, and I hear people coming in saying, I didn't know this existed, and I just drove by and I'm curious what you guys do. So there's this real sort of hidden gem quality to the sanctuary. And in a time of increasing climate change, and certainly we're in a vulnerable part of the state along the coastline, to have a place as protected for both wildlife and people as the sanctuary is really special. And I think just that it's really remained like a third place for the community. It's a really active, engaging hub for meeting friends and being with family and connecting with people who care about the same things. It's so many nature lovers and conservationists and youth educators all together in the same place in this little corner of the state. I think is a really, remarkable thing to have sustained over the last 7 decades. So, the Norman Bird Sanctuary is open 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We've got programming after hours, which we encourage folks to attend. We've got Sunday morning bird walks, Wednesday afternoon walks, all free. So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff to do. The Curiosity Lab, which is amazing for families and also for all ages, is open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and that's a great space if you're not looking to brave the cold through the winter months. And we'll also have free trail access for all February, March, and April of this year through Discover Newport, an amazing local supporter of our work. So we encourage you all to come on out, and we're happy to have you and look forward to celebrating with you.
My name is Elijah Valentine. I'm the TerraCore Youth Education Coordinator at Norman Bird Sanctuary. And so I do a lot of the nature-based education at Norman Bird Sanctuary and am involved with a lot of different programs, a lot of which are coming up in the next couple months. So TerraCore is kind of a subsection of AmeriCorps. We focus more on environmental education, environmental stewardship, and also food access. So TerraCore is a service position. It's 11 months, and basically over those 11 months we try to complete 3 capacity building programs. And so those are programs that are trying to boost a nonprofit that we're stationed at. And so I'm one of 2 TerraCore members at Norman Bird Sanctuary, more focused on education, and then we also have a land stewardship coordinator who's more focused on the land itself. I believe environmental education is very important because it's probably one of the biggest problems that we have, or that I feel we have in America today, is teaching the youth about what they can do to conserve our planet and how they can really be stewards for the generations that come after them. And so that all starts with education. You know, if you don't educate the youth on why or how to save species that are on the brink of extinction, then you won't have them in the future. So BioBlitz is an amazing event hosted by the Rhode Island Natural History Survey. It's actually the longest running BioBlitz, or continuously running BioBlitz, in the world. And basically what happens is on June 7th and 8th, a bunch of scientists and kind of animal lovers come to the sanctuary, and they document every single species that is found on the property, from frogs to birds to mammals to fungus to plants. So anything that can be classified is classified, and really what they're trying to do is get a species diversity list of all the different regions in Rhode Island. So before last year it was over in the Charlestown area, and so this year, fitting for the 75th anniversary, we have it at Norman Bird Sanctuary. Yeah, so it's on June 7th and 8th. It's a 24-hour event. If you want to learn more about it, I definitely go to the Rhode Island Natural History Survey website, and basically they're going to come out with the registration in the next couple of months, and so you'll have to register online for the event, and then you show up on the 7th and 8th. It's a 24-hour survey, but you don't necessarily have to be there the full 24 hours, although a lot of people do. And yeah, there's even the option to camp overnight on Norman Bird Sanctuary, which is not something most people get the opportunity to do, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, so you get paired up with a scientist that's leading a group on a certain category of species. So if you say are interested in bugs, you can be paired up with a bug expert. If you're more interested in marine species like fish, you can get paired up with a scientist that focuses on that, and they'll be your team leader and take out your group to document what we find on the property. So there's 2 different events or programs that are coming up that are involved with BioBlitz and super exciting. The first one is the BioBlitz t-shirt contest. So that's being put on or coordinated by our wonderful teacher naturalist, Julie Safford. And she is taking entries from anybody in the general public that has a love of nature and a love of art and wants to submit a drawing to be put on this year's BioBlitz t-shirt. The other event coming up is our wildlife conservation workshops. So that is a program hosted by myself and another Terra Corps member at the sanctuary. And so basically it's to get youth involved in field work and studying wildlife and conservation. It's 2 workshops on March 8th and 9th. The Friday, March 8th program is geared more towards high school classes. So if you want to reach out to education@normanbirdsanctuary.org, they can sign your class up for that event. And so that's going to be focused more on a bird survey at the sanctuary. Going to be a real fun 3-hour program on that Friday. And then on Saturday, it is a 3-hour workshop open to anybody in the general public, although it is geared towards older young adults, so like middle school and high school age. But any adult is welcome to participate as well. And basically, it's kind of a choose your own adventure wildlife conservation study. So we'll have a marine program, we'll have a bird program, we'll have a plant program. And so there'll be 2 1-hour sessions where you go out and do a quick wildlife survey. And and it's both of them are totally free workshops, and for the Friday program there may be travel compensation for schools. So the Curiosity Lab is our nature education lab that we have on the property. It is open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and potentially Saturday depending on volunteers. And it's open from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It's a great space if you have any kids ranging from really young kids all the way up to middle schoolers. It's just a great space for them to have a quiet reading time, take a look at different biofacts under a microscope. There's the new hydro hideout that we have that we just opened up in January that'll be up for the next year, and that has to do with water studies. So the George Norman, one of the people that purchased Norman Bird Sanctuary's land initially, he was instrumental in creating the Newport Waterworks. So it's kind of centered around water stewardship and some other research that we had conducted on the property the past year. But yeah, there's a bunch of cool different nature-based activities in the Curiosity Lab. And it is open to anybody in the general public that would like to come by. So these are just some of the biofacts that you can find in the Curiosity Lab. We have a bullfrog skeleton right here. And so that is one of the species we're hoping to find this spring using all the different vernal pools and ponds that we have on the sanctuary. We also have this wonderful butterfly that was taken from the garden section of the Curiosity Lab. We have a pollinator garden that's geared more towards pollinators like bees and butterflies and all sorts of different insects. We also have the staple of Rhode Island, the quahog. Not maybe as impressive looking as some of the other biofacts, but definitely very important. One of the most important marine species to Narragansett Bay, and yeah, just a cool marine invertebrate. And then we have a bird skull. This is just a recreated model, not an actual bird skull, but still really cool. And yeah, you can see the different parts of the bird's beak and eyes. And finally, we have this really cool piece of lichen that you can find all over Norman Bird Sanctuary property. It is a really cool cross kind of between, well, it is a type of fungus, but it's also kind of like a plant. And it gives you an indication that where you are has really excellent air quality. So you'll find this stuff all over the rocks and trees on the property, and that's just a great sign that we're taking care of the land. Probably my favorite trail on the sanctuary is the Gray Crag Trail. So that one's kind of grown on me over my time at the Norman Bird Sanctuary, because it has a really just like secluded kind of walk through the woods. You go up and gain some elevation, so you have a nice kind of view at the top of it, and there's always some new wildlife that I see hanging out in the trees or the logs over there. And then I think my favorite spot, though, would probably have to be our Coastal Education Center down by Third Beach. I am a huge marine aficionado, and so I love to just be down there by the ocean and you know, interact with all the cool marine science instruments that we have down there, like our seine nets and our minnow traps, and we're really excited to get that up and running for this spring and summer. So seining is a very old historic way of fishing, and basically you have two long poles that are spread out a giant net in between them. There's a float line on top that's more buoyant, and then a weighted line on the bottom. And so you have two people, and working as a team, you drag the net through an area of water and then bring it to shore, and usually you catch a bunch of different fish that have gotten caught in the net, and so it's a great education tool for students to be able to show them all the different fish species that are using the coastal ecosystems we have around the property.
Joining me now on East Bay Today is Heather Hull-Strout, the Executive Director of the MLK Community Center. Heather, welcome. So glad to see you again.
It's so great to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Hey, tell us about the MLK Center.
So the MLK Center, we're 101 years old this year.
Wow.
We are located in Newport, and we are in the community, or the Newport's Community Center. We fight hunger, we educate children, we support seniors, and we are really here for anybody in our community from birth until the oldest of age, with a variety of 26 different programs that support all different members of our community. The community that we serve is vast. We serve all of Newport County, and honestly, we don't turn people away that are outside of Newport County.
Right.
But there's a lot of need, especially in our hunger relief programs. We've seen a huge spike in those programs year after year after year, even long before COVID. But since COVID, in fact, right now we're seeing the biggest increase that we've had even during COVID. People are coming to us for the first time to seek our food pantry, our mobile food pantry. We have food delivery to seniors who are homebound. We have a produce program weekly where people can come get fresh produce, and breakfast, daily breakfast. So the list goes on and on of things that we do in order to try to feed as many people in our community who need that help.
How do you make that happen? I mean, that's an enormous task.
Yeah,
so,
it is an enormous task.
What's a day in the life of Heather look like to make that happen?
So we have, although maybe it sounds like 30 staff is a lot, it's really not for the amount of programming that we do. But I think more importantly than that, we have 500 volunteers. Some of those volunteers come to the center every day and give their time to our community and to the people who need our help. And so the volunteers and staff are what make it all possible. We start programming. I know we have some volunteers that arrive at 6:45 in the morning to do our hot breakfast program. And then we have programs running all the way through the day.
You have any stats you can throw out to us, or
so, yeah,
off the top of your head? I don't mean to quiz you.
I know. So
but it blows you away.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many stats that I could throw out to you. Last year, out of the center, we served almost 700,000 meals. And this year, we're actually on track to do more than that. So that is a combined of all of our hunger relief programs. But we rely on corporate and individual support. We have some amazing foundations in our community who support the work of the center. But most of what we do comes from, you know, the people in our community who just believe in supporting their neighbors.
Yeah.
Less than 3% of our support comes from any federal, state, or municipal funds. And I think that's something that really surprises people about the center, considering all that we're able to do.
Right, so hunger. There's
Yep.
an education piece
Yes,
too.
so we have an incredible preschool program that is at capacity with a waiting list. We have an after-school program and a wonderful summer adventure camp. So those are our young child education programs, which as a former teacher, I cannot say enough about how remarkable those programs are.
So it's focused on the early childhood education, what
Yes.
you're doing at MLK.
Well, we go up to age 12 in our programming.
okay,
So we have
okay.
school age programming. We do not have teen programming. One thing that we really try hard to do is not duplicate services of others. So we know that some of our partners like the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA have fantastic teen programs. Also Thompson Middle School has the Newport Community School within its programs, and they do after school programming. So
You're
the
working
need
together.
wasn't there to
Yeah.
do teen programming.
Yeah.
So that's what we focus our education programs on.
So Heather, I always love to end our segments with just sort of a call to action. If you were going to ask the viewers out there to, you know, what would you like to see them do? What would you want them to be aware of?
So we always tell people who want to support the center that whatever touches your heart the most is what we'd like you to do. And people can be very creative with whatever that is. But right now we're seeing a huge spike, as I said, in people turning to us for help with food. And in fact, last month so January, February, and March, we've seen a spike of about 25 to 30% compared to the same months last year. So that combined with the prices of food right now, which, you know, a lot of the food that we have is stuff that we purchase through donations. We're definitely, we're seeing some real great needs. So any amount, whether it be monetary donations, whether someone wants to go to the grocery store and pick up a few extra boxes of cereal, or do a grocery shop for your community and drop it off at the center, it's a big need right now, and any help that people can give with that is very appreciated.
Well, I'm so glad that you are there and your whole team is there.
Me too.
And the center exists in Newport County. You are doing amazing work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the
Thank
show.
you
And
so
I hope
much.
you'll come back really soon.
Thank you. And I just want the community to know that we're here for you. If someone needs help, we're here for you.
Fantastic.
Adoption Rhode Island is a private nonprofit organization dedicated to improving outcomes for children, youth, and young adults in foster care by finding families or other permanent connections. We also provide support counseling services for this population. If you're interested in learning more about adoption from foster care or about our support services, please contact us at 401-865-6000 or visit our website at adoptionri.org.